Wojak and the Curse of the Slightly Crooked Wall Art. The evening had arrived, soft and quiet, promising a gentle end to the day. For a certain individual, whom we shall call Oliver. Yes, Oliver. Tonight, Oliver found his mind fixated on a particular, unsettling imbalance in his otherwise orderly home. Oliver was, you see, a man who appreciated precision. He liked things just so. His books aligned, his pencils arranged, his thoughts neatly categorized. And his wall art. Well, his wall art was supposed to be perfectly level. He had acquired a new framed print recently. A nice, calming landscape. He'd hung it himself, using a measuring tape and even a small spirit level. He was meticulous. He was confident. He had stepped back, admired his work, and felt a quiet sense of accomplishment. But then, over the past few days, a subtle shift had occurred. Or perhaps, his eye had simply become more attuned to imperfection. Every time he walked into his living room, his gaze would inevitably be drawn to it. The framed print. It wasn't wildly askew. It wasn't falling off the wall. It was simply slightly crooked. Just a tiny bit. Perhaps a millimeter lower on the right side than on the left. Or maybe the left was a millimeter higher. He couldn't be sure, and that uncertainty only added to his torment. It was like a whisper in his otherwise quiet, organized life, something is off. He tried to ignore it. He truly did. He'd walk by, pretending not to see it. He'd focus intently on his television, or a book. But his peripheral vision was a traitor. It would send insistent signals to his brain, still crooked. Still crooked. Still crooked. Honestly, the sheer amount of mental energy one can expend on something so utterly trivial. It's truly astounding. It's like being haunted by a ghost made of fractional degrees. Not my walls, of course. Oliver's walls. My very perfectionist friend, Oliver. He had considered fixing it. Grabbing the level, pulling out the hammer, making the minor adjustment. But then, a wave of hesitation would wash over him. What if, in trying to make it perfect, he made it worse? What if he pulled out the nail and left a gaping hole? What if he overcorrected and made it crooked the other way? The risk felt too high. The effort felt too immense for such a small, yet persistent, flaw. So, he lived with it. He ate dinner under its subtly slanted gaze. He watched movies while it whispered its imperfections from the corner of his eye. He even found himself subtly tilting his head as he passed it, as if trying to re-level the room around the errant art. He thought, is this contentment? Is this peaceful living? Or is this just me, enslaved to a tiny, almost invisible deviation, unable to find true peace? And the answer, of course, was that it was mostly the latter. It was enslavement. A very subtle, very irritating enslavement. But then, as the last light of day faded, a different thought occurred to him. A quieter thought. He looked at the crooked art. It was still crooked. But the room was dark now. The imperfection was harder to see. It blended into the shadows. He realized that sometimes, the things that torment us most are the ones we allow to loom largest in our minds, illuminated by our own obsessive focus. What if, instead of fighting it, he just let it be? What if its slight imperfection was simply part of its unique charm? What if life, like art, didn't need to be absolutely perfect to be beautiful? He walked over to the print in the dim light. He didn't adjust it. He simply looked at it. And for the first time, it didn't feel like a curse. It just felt like a picture on his wall. A slightly charmingly askew picture. And as Oliver, my subtly tortured friend, drifted off to sleep that night, the image of the slightly crooked wall art finally faded from his mind. He didn't dream of spirit levels or perfectly straight lines. He dreamed of quiet rooms, and soft shadows, and the blissful feeling of simply letting go of something so utterly unimportant. So, if you ever find yourself fixating on a tiny flaw, a minor imperfection, or a frustrating deviation from your desired order, remember Oliver. Remember that sometimes, the greatest peace, and certainly the best path to sleep, is found not in achieving perfect alignment, but in simply accepting the world, and yourself, just as it is. Sleep now. And may your dreams be refreshingly free of perfectly straight lines.